Hi, everybody. Welcome to Midweek. We have a credible little spotlight on Upward, so welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Upward, king of Upward.
Upward guy. That's
Upward guy.
I never knew that before. Moniker.
Have you ever counted how many swag paraphernalia that you currently have?
No, my children did. They said my hoodie game is pretty good. I've got some. It's either Atlanta Braves or Upward gear. That's my only choices.
Yeah, I understand. I think I gave you a Rockies thing one time.
You did. I appreciated that.
And you still don't own it, do you? So, Upward is a basketball league, but ministry. How long have we been doing it?
This is our 20th year, 19 seasons. So we got ripped off the COVID year, but 19 seasons over 20 calendar years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when do you start working on this? I mean, we're neck deep in it because we got games going now. But when do you start, like, it's Upward time in my head? I got to start queuing up.
August. August is when I do most of that legwork to make sure that all of our partnering sites are on board and teed up, getting our promotion ready, and then September 1 is when registration opens.
Registration opens. You got all these people. I mean, this year we have how many students?
830.
So you have all these people signing up, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, and they're making requests for, I want, little Johnny to play with little, Sammy, and we need Monday nights, and, the requests are pretty high. But there comes this night where every year, you park it, and you spend the entire night here. What is that night? What happens during that night?
Draft night has actually become fun. It's something that we look forward to. I've got a team of friends who labor with me, and there's a button on my computer, auto draft. And in 2.2 seconds, all 830 kids wind up on a team. But Sammy and Billy may not be on the same team because mom might have said his name's Samuel. And Samuel and Sammy are two different boys to a computer. Yeah. But I can figure out that that's the same kid. So I touch every piece of paper. I input every email request into a spreadsheet. And we do our best to make sure that if there's two kids in the same family, that we put them back to back in the same gym. So it's an unbelievable administrative juggernaut. But it matters to us that we help our parents have a pleasant experience as well as the kids.
I love it. I think I'd hit the button and just say, Samuel, it's the providence of God.
Yeah.
But you have a really heavy kind of administrative run.
Yeah.
Last week, game started. How many, we have 830 kids. How many campuses are we partnering with?
We're on 6 sites. Yeah. And as much as I love what happens during the Upward time with the kids where we're sharing the gospel and working with them to develop sportsmanship and being good teammates, there's a subtle message to our community that we've got 6 different churches. Nazarene Church, Assemblies of God Church, Baptist Church, all playing nicely in the same sandbox. And to anybody that's a skeptic that looks at that roster, they've got to know something different's going on. They have learned how to get along because we agree on the basics, the tenets of the gospel that matter. So that's a cool thing.
So in your 840 kids, how many coaches are you going to have?
We have 160 coaches.
160 coaches. You train every one of them.
I do.
And you train them in 2 kind of areas that I know of. So I may be uneducated in this or unenlightened. You certainly talk about the skill set of coaching, philosophical approach, all of that stuff. Then you got this other side over here of the mentorship and the spiritual development. And I've often said that the single thing that I love most about this is there are scores and scores of coaches, dads, that will lead a person to Christ for the first time.
Yes.
Because you train them.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about those training and maybe expand if I only had the two areas.
No, those are good. I tell the coaches early on that I am not an X's and O's expert on basketball. They can design their own backdoor pick and their own defensive schemes. That's not what I'm there for. You can go on Google and get plays. What I'm there for is to help them interpersonally, to know how to deal with the child who's extremely gifted that won't pass to his friends and the child that's extremely introverted that stands in the corner. Both of those kids need to be brought into a team environment. So I do more of that philosophical coaching. And then there is that component of some of them love basketball and maybe need to be trained a little bit on how to fold in the spiritual component where we're trying to redeem all the best parts of sports and inject a spiritual element that no other leagues are doing. So I do both of those. And then specifically, there's that 1 week where they share the gospel from start to finish. And some of them break out in hives when they hear that. And I have to kind of apply the salve to help resource and encourage them to do it.
That's so good. It's so good. And you even have had some coaches that you've trained gone to another location and called you back and said, hey, I'm using your stuff, right?
Really cool. That's kind of maybe the most dramatic is that this young man moved to Madras and enrolled his kids into a program that wasn't doing well. And as he was giving suggestions, they shoulder tapped him, would you lead it next year? And he called in the panic. But I also hear, hey, I'm using your substitution system on my soccer team. Hey, I'm doing a little mid-practice huddle on my t-ball team. So these coaches that over 20 years, I mean, gotta be in the thousands of coaches that we have touched and trained, and that footprint is spreading into the community. And I love that part of our longevity and what we're providing.
You know you're going to start getting to that age of kind of longevity when you have kids coming whose parents played in Upward. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I often hear it from teachers. It's like, I taught their parents, and that kind of ages you. So
it sure
that
does.
will age you.
Yeah.
So we're through the administration, games have started. How does the way you think about, relate to, and interact with Upward change?
That's a great question. There really is a long period of Excel spreadsheets, and I prefer being with human beings as opposed to being behind a computer sorting out kids. So once the games start, my joy, I have a little bit more joy because I get to be in the gym and I hear the roar of the crowd. But I think I become more pastoral because not everyone is always as enthusiastic about Upward as I am. And they may not be as enthusiastic about maybe a call that a referee made or a coach that they were assigned. So I do get quite a few phone calls and complaints. But in those moments, I actually get to be pastoral. I get to use some of the gifts that God has given me to de-escalate and defuse and problem solve and pastor. So I used to hate that part, and now I kind of actually look forward to the problem solving element because I feel more like a pastor in those moments as opposed to an administrator.
So good. We always in our church really highlight week 7. It's the week that the gospel is being shared. We ask people to pray. Give us a ramp start into that. How do you want us to pray this year? Certainly we're going to come back and remind you of week 7, so we'll get that for you.
Sure.
But if you were to just kind of like, hey, I've got 840 kids, I got 100 and, huge number of coaches, what are some of the things that you find yourself praying?
I pray the fruit of the Spirit for my referees. Being a referee is really, really hard. So I pray that they all have the ability to be patient when they're getting barked at by grandma in the stands. So pray for my referees. It's really hard to recruit to being a ref. And the ones that say yes, I want them to stay. So I am constantly praying that they are patient. I'm also praying for our friends, our partnering churches. Salem First Baptist, we're weird. We're a weird church. We have a surplus of volunteers, an army of people that labor hard to make Upward what it is. And I am also very aware of the fact that some of our other churches maybe don't have quite the support that we have here. So please pray for our partnering churches that they are able to maybe find some new people, or the ones that are slugging it out have the stamina to endure 8 weeks of games. Those would be 2 big ones.
So I was kind of thinking when you're talking about praying for our referees, it's like, so have you ever had like referees, go after, like a Curtis Morley or a John Pratt? No, they're like 2 of the best.
They are phenomenal. They are really, really good. We have had a referee kick a mom out one year, so we're working on not teeing up fans and kicking them out.
Was that my wife?
I can't really remember.
I think it was a mom.
No, your wife's so nice. Right. That was a long time ago. But our ref, honestly, sports makes people do weird things. It just, the competition really does. I understand that that's going to be in every gym, but learning how to harness that. It's okay to yell and be verbal, but we all know when we've crossed the line,
Yep.
and our refs and our coaches do a phenomenal job of,
They do.
of tamping that down.
I've seen them. Well, we want to encourage you to pray. And again, congratulations. Thanks for all the leadership. I often, wonder, it's like, well, why do we have such a surplus? Well, it's leadership. And we pray for their leadership, that God would raise
Absolutely.
them up. And so pray for this weekend, scheduled snow. Our prayer is that God draws a line right about Wilsonville and says, stay north, and we get rain. Not that I want a ton more rain, but I'd rather have that than have Saturday canceled out and Sunday. So let's pray specifically, God send the snow to the mountains and north. Portland, I think, needs 10 inches. It would do them some good.
I'd be happy with that.
Yep. And this weekend, we're back in John again. We're chapter 8, caught right in the middle of sin. You know the chapter. Chapter 8, 1 through 11, that's where we're at. Hope you'll join us this weekend. And you say, wow, are we going to have church with ice? Yes, we're going to have church, ice, snow. We may be down to one service. Watch the website, check online, check everything else. But I guarantee you it's going to take a blizzard that we have never seen to stop us from having church. Count on it. We love you. See you this weekend.